What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You, and welcome to another episode of Black Fathers Now. And dig this, man. We got an episode with a brother who's doing a unique thing that's really going to impact a lot of folks from all over the world. And when you hear about it, you're going to be like, yo, that's some good stuff. And the guy that I'm talking about is none other than my man, Eric King. Eric is a father. He's a soldier. He's also the founder and creator of Vets What's Next. And I'm going to tell you also, there's another little something here. He's also my frat brother. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated is in So the brother's doing big things too. But fellas in the Black Fathers Now family and the ladies listening too, let's welcome my frat brother, my man, Major Eric King. What's up, brother?
Hey, Mike, man, thanks for having me on your show, man. It's great to be here. I'm really blown back, and it's an honor. So thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Nah, man, dude, I can't, man. Look, when I heard about what you had going on, I was like, dude, it's an honor to get you on the show. So it goes back and forth, right?
Appreciate the platform.
Iron sharpens iron, bruh.
No doubt. No
doubt. And, before we get started, the format of Black Fathers Now is we like to give a shout out to our village because the tagline of Black Fathers Now is bringing the village to the brothers. So who are we without our village? So before we get into your story, give a shout out to your village. Who allows you to be who you are on a daily basis, brother?
Hey, great. My grandfather, may he rest in peace, Ernest Walton, that man there raised me and groomed me to be who I am today. And also a big shout out to my mother, my uncles, and they know who they are, along with my family and friends, to include Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Got to give a shout out to them.
True.
Also to the military, the Army that is, who had given me the skill set to be able to lead soldiers into various combats that I've been into. So I got to give it up to the Army for that, for giving me that skill set. And Mike, man, lastly, I got to give it up to my children. Jadis, who was 20, Eric, who was 19, Kendall, who was 10, and Emery, who was 2. From the time they've been in their mother's womb, man, they've held me accountable to be their father, and they still do it today. And I just love them so much. And there's no greater career or job that can come before them, just hands down. That's my village. Love it.
That's what's up, man. And it's dope to say that your kids hold you accountable. That is an awesome thought process, man, because a lot of times we look for peers or we look for our contemporaries to hold us accountable, but we forget that our kids can also hold us accountable. That's a dope concept, man.
Absolutely, man. And I love being held accountable as their father. If I'm slipping, they will let me know.
Ooh, man, look at here. But you know what's interesting about that, and I appreciate you bringing that up. If we're slipping, and this is all of us, because we all slip. If what is a never kept me slip? Because if I slip, then I'm slipping. Whatever the line was, I'm screwing up. I'm gonna lose my card for messing the lineup. But the thing is, we all slip at times, right? But the whole notion of it is, do we listen when somebody tries to correct us, no matter where that person comes from, whether it's your kid, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a peer, whether it's somebody who's a superior of yours, we can always be held accountable no matter who the person is. And so I appreciate you bringing that out, man. I think that's important that we all pay attention to.
Absolutely. Especially as they get older, because, I often tell a lot of brothers, fathering or parenting your child doesn't end when they turn 18. When they turn 18, you raise them up to that point. And once they get 18 and they're, by law, they are adults, now we start to mentor them, guide them, be a sounding board for them and prepare them for what life has for them as they continue to get older. So even like now with school being out, college being out, my 20-year-old, my 19-year-old, my daughter and son, they're at home. Now the school is out for the COVID-19. Just last week, my 19-year-old and my son, Eric, and I was standing outside having a heart-to-heart conversation because, I had to say to him, hey, now that you're home, let me give you the expectations.
Absolutely.
Of being home. And the conversation started going in a way where he felt like, as I saw in his face, that it was a one-way conversation. So I had to pause and step back and say, you know what? This is a two-way conversation. This is man to man, father to son, adult. Let's have a conversation about, what's going on here, because I'm not going to micromanage you. And just from that conversation with he and I having that, man, it just changed just right there, that dynamic, because he had been out in college and he had got into his own routine. So coming back home, he's like, I got to follow rules. And I'm like, well, there are rules in life, son, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are. But us having that conversation, man, it just set the stage, and, things are going smooth because we had that conversation. He didn't feel like, I'm standing over him, telling him what you're going to do and what you're not going to do.
Dude, I'm going to tell you what's powerful about that. You really went into negotiation 101, right? I mean, you think about somebody who's a negotiator, the first thing that they try to do is they try to, in essence, diffuse the conflict, right? They try to, in essence, disarm that person. And so what you did was, with your son, you made him feel like, look, I'm not coming at you as some authoritarian. I'm going to tell you what to do. You're going to sit here. You're going to listen. It's like, look, let's have a conversation back and forth. Now, granted, you're smart enough to realize that I'm kind of tailoring this conversation because I'm still going to get my point across. This is still my house. You still going to follow these rules, but I'm going to at least give you a voice so that you think about, think that you have some say-so in this and we can actually have a conversation. So you diffuse the situation, which then open the window for you to have impact. That's right. Dude, I know you said you're in the military. I'm gonna wonder, you probably like a hostage negotiator or something. Now don't tell. Look, you don't have to confirm nor deny. We're gonna leave that here and just allow people's minds to go. But the way that you went with that, I'm like, this brother's a hostage negotiator. So
Absolutely. I've just always used that approach. Another one of those skill sets that I was able to obtain from the military. That when I'm having a conversation with anybody, and while I'm talking to them, if they begin to frown up in the face, I know I've lost them. They're not hearing what I'm trying to convey. Right now, they're trying to defend what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to have to defend what I'm saying if it's not that type of a setting. If it's a conversation, let me rechannel this so it can be a two-way conversation so you can feel like you are part of this decision-making process.
I love that. Dude, this is deep, man. I mean, I didn't even think we were going to go into all of this, but I'm loving it. And fellas, I hope you're paying attention to that, man. Effective communication is more than just being able to use big words and have a real, like having a thesaurus in your background, the back of your mind or whatnot. It's not about that. Effective communication is all about impact. And so what Brother Eric just dropped there are some nuggets on having impact, especially with some of your older children. Like, again, I'm sitting here taking notes on it because my kids are 8 and 6. So I'm not there yet. You know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking as they grow, as they mature, how the conversations do have to change if I'm looking for and desiring to have impact. So, man, that's some bars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my older two, they know, okay, if dad has to get on to me and it's a firm conversation, at that point, they've already took ownership of their action. Because they know if it got to that point, they did something that I had to. Is now that time I got to get on to you. But I also tell them, you have a 10-year-old brother at home, you have a 2-year-old brother. They're looking up to you two. You all are much older than them, but they're looking up at you. Yeah, I'm dad. They want to be like dad, but guess what? They want to be like more.
Because you're closer in age.
You're closer in age. They know I'm the authoritarian. I'm going to tell them what to do to keep them aligned. But when it comes down to when they want to have a conversation, share those life stories with them because they listening to you.
They listening. Share. I mean, honestly, when you think about this platform, this is what this is all about. It's about sharing, right? We're sharing life stories, we're sharing experiences because other brothers that are listening can look at the screen if they're looking at it via YouTube, or they can listen to it via audio and be like, you know what? This is like me and my homeboy, at the spot having a conversation. Like I can learn something from it because I can relate to it. And so
absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, because they're going to be parents one day. And they are a direct reflection of me. And if there's something that my kids are doing and I know I've taught them well, then I expect them to go out and carry those core values that I have instilled in them to utilize them, that when they need to reach back in that kit bag, they got a tool for anything that life throw at them. Because why? Since I came out of my mama's womb, dad been there. And so I want them to be able to carry that over when they become parents. When my sons become fathers, they know, okay, this is what I got to do.
You talk about that kit bag, man, and this is interesting because one of the things that I want to prepare my kids for anything, right? In the sense that I want them to have all the tools needed and or necessary to go thrive and be all that they've been called to be in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to your point, I want them to have that kit bag. So when I think about that kit bag, the things that I think about are I want my kids to be able to effectively communicate, right? I want them to be able to be a problem solver. So I want them to be able to solve problems. I want them to be critical thinkers, but then I also want them to be able to build effective and strong relationships. To me, if they can solve problems, if they can effectively communicate, if they can think critically, and if they can build strong relationships, honestly, I'm like, they really have everything needed and or necessary to go and thrive in the world. And so when you think about that kit bag that you talk about, and again, this is kind of on the spot here, what are some of those components that you want your kids to have in their kit bag, so to speak, as they go forward and kind of go into life on their own?
Hey, great question. One of the big things, man, that I let my kids know all the time, I tell them as being an African American, and I tell them, no matter what you're doing in life, you already have a strike against you, and that strike against you is you're Black. Mm-hmm. And being a Black individual, whether you're male or female, you have to be able to muster the strength to be able to excel in everything that you do, because we're like a fish in a fishbowl. Mm-hmm. You're being watched at all times. It's like you're at an everyday interview. You're being interviewed every day. So what you say, how you walk, how you dress, how you look can have a negative impact or a positive impact. So one of those tools in their kit bag with that is stand up and be strong about who you are. Be articulate when you speak. Have the knowledge that you need to have, and don't shy away from anything. Be the person that you need to be. And if there's a reach back that you need, you already know that you have me to come back to help you out during those times when you need that reach back. But be strong, stand up to who you are. The other thing that they put in their kit bag that I like for them to utilize is their academics. Education is big for me. I'm very proud of education. I have empowered them to don't give up in anything they do. Being in college, my two older ones right now, my 10-year-old, even my 2-year-old, he's so smart. Education is a driving force, and we hone in on that. So that way, as they get older, they can pull out those academic skills that they have gathered. They can put themselves in any conversation that they're faced with at any time. And I tell them, stick to what you know. If you don't know it, stay in your lane. Don't get out of it. Don't get caught up in that conversation. As my two that are in college, I tell them, you don't have to go to college to be successful. However, college prepare you for life outside of those 4 years or those 6 years once you get out of college. It's going to give you a skill set. It's going to be able to place you in a position where you can compete. You can be able to utilize that skill in something that you're trying to do once you get out of school. So education is very big in my household. And then just those life tools, how to be able to use your common sense, how to be able to deal with people, how to be able to get yourself out of a situation respectfully without putting yourself in a situation where the outcome for you can be of a result that you don't want to be faced with or have to deal with.
That's good stuff. And fellas, I hope y'all paid attention to that, man. Like, and think about the concept of a kit bag. What kit bag are you putting together for? And I like that concept. What kit bag are you putting together for your kids? What are these tools that they will always have available with them? And they're not going to necessarily be physical tools, but they're internal tools. What things are you instilling in them so that they can go and traverse life and find success in life? And the thing is, a lot of times we play not to lose. Right? I mean, a lot of times we play not to lose, whereas especially us as African Americans, as Black men, as Black families, as kids that are coming up in this world, we've played not to lose for a very long time. It's time for us to really utilize our gifts, talents, and skill set to get to a point in which we're starting to play to win. And so to play to win, you got to have the right tools and the right things available. And at the end of the day, we got to go and put them into practice. So
right, and one of those things, like real life story that I share with my kids. Even starting off in the military, I started off enlisted. Well, in 2000, and I guess I go ahead and tell this story. It's like two of them. Okay. So in 2000, my daughter Jada was born. Prior to her being born, when her mom told me she was pregnant, we went through that and everything, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do to take care of this child? After I have accepted the fact that I have a child on the way, because for the first few months, you know, I was in denial about it, to be honest with you. I'm like, hey, I came to college to get an education, not to have a child, and you're telling me you're pregnant. And when I seen my daughter's mom on the elevator there at school, at college, I was like, that's my child. You know, I have to step up to the plate. I had a conversation with my grandfather, and you know, he brought me back around to reality. Anyway, so a few months go forward prior to her being born, I said, what am I going to do to take care of this child that I have? And I'm sitting in my living room, and a commercial come on, and it was a recruiting commercial to join the military. And right there, immediately, I'll call a recruiter. I say, hey, I need to join the military. Didn't know anything about the benefits of that nature or stature, what we get at that time. I just knew if I can go into the military, I can get a guaranteed paycheck and some health coverage for my child. And that is what got me into the military. And then the next year, I had my son, Eric. So now I'm in college with 2 children. I joined the Army National Guard, joined the ROTC program. So I'm going to school to obtain my degree, as well as to commission full-time active duty into the Army. So fast forward, got 2 kids. Now I'm in the military. I got married, and being a lieutenant, a first lieutenant, I'm in combat at this time now. So really fast forward. So I'm on my first combat tour, and I'm deployed with a unit that's predominantly all white in a combat arms unit. And this is a time I had to pull out, you know, a tool out of my kit bag to use in this situation. So I was called the N-word. Then I was called a nigger. I'm not going to follow this nigger in combat. And I said, what did you say? I'm not going to follow you in combat. I'm not going to follow a black man in combat. Wow. I said, it's fine. Hey, you don't have to, because I could have just went off. I mean, things could have really went crazy. But I said, I'm not going to stoop to the level of ignorance. So I said, okay, you don't have to follow me in combat, but I'm sure the others will. So you're going to be the one that's going to be made an example. So anyway, he received an Article 15 and some other things. He was moved out of my unit. But I'm sure the reaction that they were expecting would have led to the result of not only him being moved out of the unit, but I would have been moved out of the unit too, which also could have, you know, halted my next promotion that was coming up very soon. So that's one of the things that I share with my children, that when you find yourself in a situation, you don't have to always clap back or combat with retaliation or come back in a sense where instead of that person being held accountable for their action of what they just did, now both of you are about to be held accountable. So always use your smarts. And when you find yourself in a situation, think, assess the situation, then engage.
Think, assess the situation, then engage. Where did that come from?
That just came up from my upbringing of being around my grandfather. My grandfather and grandmother had 20 children.
Whoa! Pump your brake. Pump your brake. Yeah. Now, granddaddy didn't pump his brake till he had 20 kids. But what, 20?
Yeah, they had 20 children. This is on my mother's side.
Wow.
And my mom in the chute, she is number 5 in the chute.
Hold on. Yeah, I mean, when there's 20 of them, you got to say, in the chute. So you got to be like, look, there's a line. 20, like literally, they had 20 kids.
Right. Not including, you know, nieces and nephews that they also raised. You know, from a very small town, you have relatives being raised by
absolutely it's a village,
non-custodial parent. Yeah. You know,
so these are all hold on, stop for a second, dog. Hold on.
Right.
20 biological kids?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. I don't think, I mean, it's funny. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't think I've ever met anybody who's literally had a family with 20 biological kids before. That is fascinating. Okay, continue. Yeah. I'm still blown away.
Yeah. And so my grandfather, you know, he could have, like my dad, for me, it's 7 of us. And my dad didn't raise me. And my grandfather could have been one of those at that time, and we still have him today, but we're trying to fix that. Who could have ran down and said, not no, but hell no, I'm not doing this, too many. But he stayed there and he took care of all those kids his kids to include me and others.
Mm-hmm.
And as I watched my grandfather, be the man that he was then and the man that he is now as he lay in his grave, because I still go back to those things he has taught me. My grandfather, when things would heat up, and when you talking about a house full of people,
20 kids.
I left this part out. So the first house we were in, it was a 6-bedroom house. Well, that house burned down, and I was at the age of about 8 years old, 7 to 8 years old. That home burned down, and they got their house rebuilt, a new house. Now we're down to a 4-bedroom house.
And this is your grandfather.
This is my grandparents' home. Yes.
Okay.
And so you have a house full of people. There is tension and everything else going on. And my grandfather never just really raised his voice. He did just what I just said and what I utilize today.
Think.
He stepped back, think, assess the situation, then he follow through.
I'm going to tell you, though, I think there's a couple different things. Like, first off, if you're the father of 20 kids, I'm going to be borderline scared of you anyway. So that's that's number one. But when you look at it from the standpoint of, and I think you can probably attest to this, with your military experience, when you're charged with leading a big group, and having 20 kids is a big group, right? You have to approach it differently. It's kind of like the art of war. It's the concept of divide and conquer. You have to approach it differently, because if you just kind of go full steam ahead and try to utilize loud voice, no matter how loud you are as one person, you're never going to be louder than 20 people, 20 other folks. So
absolutely,
that's fascinating.
Right. So even with that, me growing up, me being the 5th child of 7, I always found myself in a situation where my older siblings or relatives, cousins, will always come to me asking me to help them out in the situation. At that time, I didn't know that, I had a skill set to lead people then, but I was watching my grandfather, herd a household full of people. And again, I cannot tell you a time that this man just really raised his voice. Very religious man, believed in God as we was raised up in the church house.
Absolutely.
So I took that and I'm like, you don't have to always yell and scream. There will be times when you will raise your voice, but you don't have to always yell and scream to get your point across. If you can speak and you speak with a command voice and you know what you're talking about, and folks know what those consequences are going to be, if they don't listen or take heed, hey, you don't have to do all that screaming and yelling.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it makes me think, because my grandfather, he was the father of 8. So 8's a lot, but 8 ain't 20. And but my granddad, man, it was interesting. He passed in 2011, and he was a command sergeant major of the military. So he was drafted in World War II. Then he came back, and then he enlisted again after his tour there, and he did 30 years. He retired as a command sergeant major, earned 2 Purple Hearts, did World War II, Vietnam, the Korean conflict, and this was in the 40s up until the early 70s.
Hey, I thank him for his service and paving the way for those like me who have come behind him.
Absolutely. And so when you think about the scenario in which, you mentioned the concept of being called a nigger while you were serving, he was actually in I think he was a sergeant at the time in which they were integrating the different platoons. So during World War II and the Korean conflict, you're talking about an era in which that was a real deal scenario that he was dealing with as well. And so, but it's interesting, he passed in 2011. So later in life is when, he and I had a lot of conversations. And to your point, he never really had to raise his voice. He spoke with authority. He was a man of few words, but when he said something, you listened. And so it was just something about it. And again, he was born in, I think, 1925. And so he's from that era. And, but he just commanded the room without even saying anything. And you just listened.
Right.
And so your conversations about your grandfather really made me think about my grandfather. And one of the things he used to always tell me, and I carry this to this day, he would sit there and play solitaire on his bed. He would say, to worry is a bad investment. To worry is a bad investment. And I'm just like,
you don't get nothing out of it.
You don't get nothing out of it, man. And it's just like all the stuff that he's been through. Again, 2 Purple Hearts and dealing, the father of 8 kids. He actually lost 2 of them before they hit adulthood and all this kind of stuff. To worry is a bad investment. And so
it is.
Your grandfather, the spirit of your grandfather, I really kind of feel that there's something similar with him and my grandfather, just the way that they operated, man.
Yeah. Good, strong black man.
Yes.
Good, strong. I mean, he was my first leader.
Mm.
He was my first leader indeed.
I love that. I love that. And so you kind of jumped into, and it's interesting, a lot of the themes that you're talking about literally lead into this thing that you created called Vets What's Next. Because I hear the conversation when you're talking to your kids and you're instilling some principles of that kit bag, you know, with them, it's all about preparing them for what's next, right? It seems like, you know, with your grandfather, to think, assess the situation, then engage, allows you to get to a point in which you have a next. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like there's a lot of these little themes that kind of line up with this Vets What's Next program or company that you started. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, kind of the backstory or the inspiration behind Vets What's Next, and then kind of jump into what is Vets What's Next.
Okay. So again, after serving 16 years in the military, 3 combat tours, 2 in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. I got wounded over in combat. Got struck by an IED, which led to some ailments that I live with, a couple PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, TBI, traumatic brain injury, which was a residual that led to a seizure disorder and other ailments. So as I was in the hospital for 62 days and I was going through my recovery, it was really hard. You know, trying to recover, to be able to get out and integrate myself or insert myself back into the military as I thought I was going to be able to. Getting back home to my family, my children, but also dealing with the soldiers that were lost along the way, soldiers that fell under my leadership, just dealing with the things that I experienced in combat. Being guarded and, you know, just not being myself at the time because of what I was going through. And that is in itself a healing process. It's not like turning on the light switch and then turning it off. It is a process. So going through that process and then getting out 62 days from the hospital to be at home a week and a half, time to go back into the hospital for another 17 days, it was rough, very rough. So now I'm back at home and now I'm being told, hey, Major King, you can no longer continue to serve. We find you unfit due to the injuries you sustained to continue to serve. So we're going to medically retire you from the Army. 100%, you know, your benefits, you're going to get all your benefits that you are entitled to for serving. And just going through that transition and going from the time I started in the military as a private, first class, and worked my way up to 04 third grade major, is like, okay, you're no longer Major Eric King. Now you're just Eric King. Where do you fit in? And man, I would tell you, that was tough because I didn't really know what was next for me at that time, because I still had children to take care of, family to support, and all these other great things that I just was not well equipped with to be able to conduct myself as a quote unquote civilian now, because all I know is the military. So going through that process, that transition, I'm saying to myself, what is next for me? What's next for me? And trying to figure out what benefits were there for me, which was a challenge in itself, all of the services and benefits that we are entitled to. You know, you would think they would be just right there at your fingertips. Well, that isn't always the case. You have to go in and have to try and find it. But luckily for me in my situation, it wasn't as hard as so many others who have had it, you know, worse than me, being an officer and being able to talk to some people to help me along the way. But again, trying to figure out what was next for me and getting all my benefits and everything, I said, well, that's selfish. It's not about what's next for you. It's about what's next for everybody who's not going to come after you. You know, so as I was talking to people, you know, onesies and twosies, hey, make sure you do this. Get your e-benefits. Go and enroll into the VA healthcare system. Yes, you are entitled to this. Yes, you are entitled to that. I said, well, I don't want to continue to talk to the onesies and twosies. I want to reach the masses. So with that being said, I said, well, it can't be selfish. It's just about what's next for all veterans who have already served before me during my time and the ones who are going to come up behind me. And that is how Best What's Next was derived. I said, Best What's Next is the answer. So Best What's Next, as I am the CEO and founder of it, is a nonprofit organization that provides a consolidated hub to many services, resources, benefits, and more for all veterans and transitioning active duty service members and their families. From how to get your military benefits to finding a job before and after you transition out of the military. Vets What's Next is a one-stop shop for all things veteran, to including meeting the needs of our homeless veterans, because we're out here to let you know there is life after the military. And I say that because so many times we're trying to figure out, well, while in military, you've been told what to do every day, what time to be up, what time to be in formation, what the uniform is going to be, what the meal plan is going to be, what the training exercise is going to be. You're being told every day what to do. But once you get out of the military, you're no longer part of the Department of Defense. You are now part of Department of Veteran Affairs. You no longer have that structure, so to speak.
Wow.
And you out here trying to figure out, where do I go? Who do I talk to? What do I do? And when you're going through the out process and of the military, you know, you have doing that out process and brief, they're telling you, do this, do that, sign up for this, sign up for that. But your mind is wondering and saying, what am I going to do once I get out of this military? How am I going to take care of my family? When am I going to work? Soon when you exit that gate, you do a brain dump. You forget it all.
Absolutely.
And you don't know where to go back to get it. Well, Vets What's Next has stepped up to the plate, and we provide that consolidated hub that soldiers, family members, veterans no longer will have to go through all the nooks and crannies to get the services and benefits and resources that they need. If they go to www.vetswhatsnext.org or download the app in Google Play, which will be available in the Apple Store in the upcoming weeks, everything that they need and more is right there for them.
So
and we are continuously to improve this.
Vetswhatsnext.org, and there's an app. Is there an app currently, you said, in the Apple Store?
Right. So there's an application that's downloadable on your mobile device in the Google Play Store.
Okay, gotcha. The Google Play Store. Gotcha.
And it'll be available for download in the Apple iOS Store in the upcoming weeks. Apple is just a little longer process to get anything approved with them. But the sole purpose of the app, which I'm so proud of, a lot of our millennial veterans and Gen X vets, we like apps. Because an app will be able to get you what you need on the spot, no matter where you are. And the app is geared to giving you those services that you need. Trust me, there's a lot of services out there that veterans don't know about. Me, I'm a recipient of a mortgage-free home through an organization called Operation Finally Home. They built me a whole mortgage-free home. And there are so many great organizations out there that does this, that so many qualifying veterans don't know about. But they'll know about it once they visit www.vetswhatsnext.org. And lastly, the app also is going to be able to provide some other cool features that no matter where you're standing and you're in a crisis and you need to get to a VA and you don't know where it's at, the nearest one. Well, you go to the app and you click on VA Locator, it's going to take you to the nearest VA right there where you stand. We also offer a chat room for veterans and family members to be able to converse and share information with one another right there in one centralized location. We're also working on incorporating some other cool things. So whoever's listening, I need your help with this. I want to partner with Uber and Lyft. I want to be able to insert their capabilities within my mobile application that a veteran can be able to get a discounted ride from Uber and or Lyft because you're a veteran and you served, or you're a family member who served with that veteran or service member. Also will allow veterans now through Uber and Lyft to work for Uber and Lyft and provide services to another veteran. And thirdly, Uber and or Lyft will be able to, you know, give that incentive to a veteran, but also to show that they are now giving back to the veteran community.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, man. I fellas, I told y'all, when y'all hear about what the brother has going on, you're gonna be like, "Yo, this is real." And I'm gonna tell you, man, just the whole concept of Vets What's Next. You know, my first response is, "This is amazing." Like, you're literally helping vets, and this is all vets, transition from active duty service to the basically civilian life. And you're basically providing that pathway for them to do so. And so the first thing that I say is that's genius. And fellas, I want y'all to realize this is a Black man who conceived and thought about this concept. Vets What's Next. Think about that. Absolutely. When we think about the concept of possibilities, that's why this platform is so important, to share brothers who are doing dynamic and unique things, so that when you see that if he can do it, man, he sounds just like me. Like,
Yeah.
man, hearing about his granddaddy sound like my granddaddy. Man, these two brothers talking sound like me and my homeboy talking. And this brother has created something that is going to impact the lives of families for generations to come. Think about that. It's a brother that looks just like you. Imagine that. That's what's next.org. I mean, that's one. The other question I'd have is, you know, when you create something like this, you know, what do some of the vets who have, you know, benefited from the service and have taken advantage of it, what have they said, one, to the value of it, but then two, what do they say then to why hasn't something like this been created to begin with? I know that, because I know that's like the first, I know that's the first thing. They're just like, why? I mean, why have they not done this now? Right? Like, what's the deal?
Right. And I think, Mike, and I don't have the right answer, because folks ask it all the time, like, wow, this is very much needed. Thank you. I did not know about this service. I've had guys that come to me and say, I did not know I qualified for Social Security disability, who went and applied for their disability after visiting my site. And they end up getting $100,000+ back from Social Security because they was entitled to it, because in their mind, Social Security, you got to be 62, 65 in order to apply for it. But no, as a disabled veteran and you can't work, you can apply for your Social Security disability and possibly be awarded your Social Security based off your disability, not based off your retirement age, but based off your disability. But that's just one of the many things that veterans have found going through my website that is very useful for them. And to be able for them to come back and tell me personally, thank you. This is very much so well needed. I said, no, thank you, because I had to go through it to find out about it and to figure it out. And I'm like, now I want to be an inspiration to my sons, my children, my daughter, and other Black men to say, hey, just as well as I can come up with this, you are just as creative. You have the same brain as I have. And I'm far from being smart. I'm not smart at all, but I surround myself around those who are smart. So even when I created Vets What's Next, I went out and I got me a couple of team of folks to say, hey, here's my vision. Here's my idea. Let's bring it to life, because they have a skill set that I didn't offer, but they can bring it together. And they was able to do that. So if you have a vision, you have a dream, it's yours. Live it. Bring it to life. And to be able to start an app, I talked to so many people, and they like, man, you're the only person I know to have an app. I said, but there are millions of apps out there, but you're the only one I know. I said, and you too can be next to start an app. And so even with Vets What's Next and how we are here to fully support our veterans, service members, and their families with the corona crisis that we're facing and dealing with right now, Vets What's Next being a nonprofit organization, we said we want to step it up, and we really want to get out there to show that we are here to help everybody now in this same crisis worldwide that we're all facing the challenge with. That I can say, as an American, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to see our world coming together, fighting this same invisible enemy as one united front. But America has taken the front lines of it to lead it. And I'm very proud to be an American. So with that being said, what's going on with the COVID-19, with so many great Americans being out of work and our children being at home, out of school, Vets What's Next is supporting the effort to assist our Americans in any way and every way that we can, by partnering with the Dallas Foundation, the World Health Organization, and a couple of families from my small hometown, which is Marianna, Arkansas, a very small area where there's not a lot of economic growth there. So with those people now being out of work, I say, if I can be able to help out a little bit, I'm going to do that. So for the next 90 days, Vets What's Next nonprofit organization will donate our funds that we will make from the merch that we sell through our online e-commerce store. So I ask each and everybody to go and visit our website at www.vetswhatsnext.org. Click on the shop link. Go there, purchase you some merch, some really nice, cool apparel there. And we also have some I Will Survive, Together We Will Defeat, the COVID-19 t-shirts. Very nice, cool t-shirts, just to show that we are one united front as we get through this. And if they don't want to purchase any other apparel there, they can also click on the donate tab, and they can also leave a generous donation. And it is tax deductible. They will get a tax deductible receipt because we're a nonprofit organization. And it's just my way to just give back, because I've served my country, I've fought for my country, and now that I'm no longer serving in uniform as a civilian, I still have a purpose that God has given me to serve each and everybody that I possibly can each and every day. Because that's the legacy I'm trying to build and leave behind my children. Because as I tell them, my first name don't matter. It's the last name that's going to live on after I'm gone. So once you all bury me and lay me 6 feet, I don't want, if I die on a Monday, you bury me on that Saturday, come that Sunday, no one else is no longer talking about me. I want to be talked about forever and ever. I want to go into history books. I want my children to say, I'm proud of that man because of what he did. And I'm going to take this torch, this beacon, and I'm going to continue to lead the fight of what my father left behind.
Service, brother. Absolutely. Service. Like that service. Like at the end of the day, everything that you're talking about is service. That's what it's all about. It's serving others.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Put us here. You know, we walk.
Absolutely.
We have this vessel, but we have to walk in His image.
Absolutely.
And what did Jesus do? Jesus served the people. He saved lives.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to bring anybody, from the dead. However, though, if I can help make your life a little bit easier while you have life here on earth, allow me to do that for you.
That's your calling. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all supposed to do. That's what we're called to do. We're called to make life better for others. We're called to be that bridge builder. We're called to help folks transition, because we go through things not necessarily for ourselves. We go through things so that we can make them better for those coming behind us. You think about your children. We're doing stuff and going through things so that they have a path in which they then have a platform to stand upon and then carry that torch forward. You're doing things for the veteran community. You're doing things for the community at large. I mean, brother, when you speak, everything comes back to this concept of service. But I wanted to go back to something you mentioned before a second ago, and kind of wanted to correct you a little bit. You said, I'm not smart. I just connected with other people. I'm going to challenge you, brother. You're beyond smart. Right? Self-awareness is smart. I'm serious. Self-awareness is smart. You understand what you mentioned with your kids, understand your lane, you stay in your lane, and you connect with other people who can help in other capacities. That's what we all are. To me, that's the epitome of smart, right? So it's not about GPA. It's not about IQ score. It's not about any of that stuff, because who cares about all of that? It's about being effective. And to me, smarts literally come back to that whole concept of being effective. So I'm going to challenge you to never ever say that about yourself again. For one, that's not true, because anybody listening to your story is going to be like, that's a damn lie. That brother is a genius. One. Two, others are looking up at you. And if they hear my dad say that I'm not smart, they're going to be like, well, shoot, I ain't smart. No. Look at them receipts. All right. So just reframe that a little bit, because brother, everything that you're talking about here is genius. It's beyond smart. So it ain't smart, it's genius. And it's okay to say that, right? It's not gloating.
I'll take that.
Yeah, and receive it. Yeah, take that. Take that. And so, no doubt, brother. And so you mentioned what Vets What's Next is, and folks, I want y'all to visit vetswhatsnext.org. And brothers, whether you're a vet or not, whether you served in the military or not, whether you know somebody that has. So whether or not you've done it, forward this information to somebody who has served, who is currently serving, because you want to help those that are currently veterans who are former servicemen, but you also want to help the brother or sister who is currently serving now, but at some point is going to transition out of the military. Give them this information. So maybe it's not you. Forward this to somebody else. Again, vetswhatsnext.org. And for the next night, well, we're recording this now. It's going to launch. It's going to drop the end of April. So through the end of June? How long is your proceeds going to help?
So right now we're going out to the end of June, because that's what we are hoping. The COVID-19 will be contained and under control by that time, and the American working people will be back at work. But we're here as long as we are defeating this invisible enemy together. Vets What's Next is going to stand toe to toe and continue to support as many as we can.
Absolutely. So make sure to go to vetswhatsnext.org, or go to the Apple Store once it's available, or the Google Play Store, and download the app, which is available now. So Google Play Store is available now. And make sure when you go to the website, click on the shop link. and buy some apparel, because the proceeds for the apparel actually go to the initiatives that Brother King mentioned. So make sure to support, make sure to show out, and make sure to share this information, because, man, this genius of a brother came up with an idea that really is going to help a lot of people, not just now, but for generations to come. So make sure to get out, support this thing, share this thing. And man, dude, I guess I mean, you've really dropped so much here. I want the brothers to process this thing and make sure to connect with you. How can folks connect with you via social media?
I'm on all social media platform. Vets What's Next is the handle.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. So you can find me on any platform. Also, when you visit the website and or the app, go ahead and sign up because we'll be sending out newsletters, keeping people updated with the changes that are coming about. And we'd just like to hear from you. And any feedback is good feedback that we would like to take in to try to make what it is that we are giving not only to the American people, but people across the world, because we have veterans and service members across the entire world. So that's one good thing about Vets What's Next, that it's not just here in America that we're trying to help our American soldiers. We are helping everybody across the entire world. And I need everybody help to get Vets What's Next out there. And real quick, earlier you said, you asked a question about why no one else have come up with that. And to me, I say, well, I'm sure conversations have been had, right? But as the world continues to evolve and we continue to change, we have to keep up with the latest and greatest, with this age group. And there are so many different avenues of trying to get that information. And as for somebody sitting down and said, let me put it all in one centralized location, they just hadn't done it. And I think they hadn't done it because as I thought that my life was taken from me a couple of different times. One, when I got hit by an IED. Two, when I tried to take my own life myself. And if it wasn't for my son, we would not be having this conversation right now. So going through everything that I went through in the military, getting to where I'm at right now, it wasn't an easy road. But I say that to say, I think it was left for me. God left this for me to say, hey, nope, I want you to do it. Anybody else could have did this, but you know what? I want you to do it. That's why I want you to do it.
Man, I'm gonna tell you,
that's your task.
Man, brothers, if you're listening right now, I hope you took in everything that this brother just said. I want you to do it. Whenever you have doubt in your mind and you think that, man, this is too big for me, I want you to do it. Wayne, why hadn't anybody else done this before? This seems like it's too far reaching, and I want you to do it. It's just like, man, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to create apps. I want you to do it. Think about this. Your gifts will make room for you. I know folks say that all the time. Your gifts will make room for you. So therefore, maybe is God saying, I want you to do it. And so don't question it. Just go and do it. Take the example of what Brother Eric King has done with Vets What's Next, and just go do it. If that don't inspire you to get up off of whatever you're sitting on right now and go do it, I know we're sitting in this social distancing, quarantine type life at this particular moment. It's something we've never seen before. We've never experienced it, in our lifetime. And basically in the last couple of generations, this is not something that we've really experienced before. But we're sitting down for a reason. While you're sitting down, be still, be silent, and think, what is God telling you to do? And whatever he's telling you to do, no matter how big it is, but also no matter how small it is, you think it might not impact a lot of people. So what? Maybe your job is to impact that one person you're supposed to impact. I don't care. Just go do it. Take the lead from Brother King, man. Seriously. And I'm not talking about Martin Luther King. I'm talking about Brother Eric King, who is doing the doggone thing, the creator of Vets What's Next. My man, I'm just like, is there anything else that you'd like to kind of share with the audience? Because right now, brothers, I'm just going to challenge y'all to go to vetswhatsnext.org, go to the Google Play Store, download the app, go to the Apple Store in a couple of weeks, download the app. go through it yourself, but then also to make sure to share it with anybody who's a serviceman or woman throughout the world. Make sure they have this information, because this genius of a brother has put it all together for you so that you can ease your transition into civilian life. Is there anything else you'd like to leave with us, man?
No, Mike, I think you summed it up. And I just, again, appreciate you for having me on the show. The last thing I would just leave with all the listeners is, keep going. Don't give up. Ask yourself, how do you want to be remembered when everybody say their last goodbyes? How do you want to be remembered? What legacy are you leaving behind? And how do you want your last name to be carried out once God calls you home?
And and I don't think there's any coincidence, when you mentioned the last goodbyes and what people are going to think about and how you're hustling for your last name and not your first name. I don't think there's a coincidence that your last name is King.
I appreciate that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Fellas,
put it that way.
Fellas. I know you got something out of this. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Make sure to follow my man Eric King at Vets What's Next on all social media platforms. Visit vetswhatsnext.org. Also download the app in the Android, the Google Play Store, as well as, by the time this launches, it might be available, but if not, continue to check back the Apple Store. Download the Vets What's Next app. Click on the link and make sure to grab some apparel, because all the sales from the apparel go to the initiatives, the Dallas area, as well as your hometown in Arkansas, correct? Helping to support those that have been negatively impacted by the corona crisis or the COVID-19 crisis. So make sure to visit that. But then make sure to just reach out to the brother on social media. Let him know how impactful this thing is that he's doing. This Black man, this brother, this man of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, this dad, Rue. Y'all just let him know how important this thing is, and let's make sure to share this thing out so that it impacts the world. Like you mentioned earlier, if you have a contact with any of the ride share services, Uber, Lyft, or any others, because there's other ride share services out there as well, get in touch with the brother, man, because he's looking to create a partnership for veterans, their families, in regards to employment, as well as providing service to them. So make sure to link up. If you have contacts there, reach out to the brother, or if you don't reach out to him, reach out through me, and I'll make sure that he gets it. And so, fellas, I appreciate y'all. Make sure to continue to subscribe to the podcast, share this episode out. We got more coming that are going to really impact your life as well. Make sure to follow Black Fathers Now on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Holla at your boy. Visit blackfathersnow.com. Leave some ratings. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, anywhere you're listening to this podcast, make sure to leave some ratings and continuously share, as that helps us to grow in the search function, but then also to grow in the rankings. And fellas, until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And you know what? Before we end, I got to tell you, brother, thank you for your service. I forgot to say that in the middle of it, but thank you for your service. Because, we're here because of brothers like yourself. So thank you again for your service. And now,
support.
No doubt, my man. Hey, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.